So if we lose main air, each diver will go on umbilical. So if you're on the bottom, the same as you ever did before, off my main air, as soon as I've lost my main air supply, on umbilical, report back to the supervisor, topside, I'm on umbilical, my bailout pressure 190. So now both people, now the diver is outside the bell. As soon as he goes on umbilical, as soon as he goes on bailout, he can give one pull to the tender, to the bellman, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm on bailout, I want to come back to the bell. Then the bellman, as soon as he notices, he goes on umbilical, at least he goes on bailout, and then you don't want to use your bailout. Your bailout's only a small bottle. So as soon as you can, the bellman closes topside air and will open onboard gas. As soon as he's open onboard gas, then he will close his bailout and tell topside, I'm on onboard gas. Topside will tell the diver, close your bailout, we are on onboard gas. So normally, if we don't have onboard gas, each person will go on bailout and he will come back to the bell, come back to the surface. Yeah, the man that is logged out, go on bailout, come back to the bell. The bellman goes on bailout, and then the bellman closes topside air, opens onboard gas, and now both divers and they close their bailout. Now you're not breathing from a 10-liter cylinder, you're breathing from a 50-liter cylinder. So save your air in your bailout. Save it as much as you can. Don't use it. Keep it for a last emergency. So diver and the bellman go on bailout and report their bailout pressure. Diver returns to the bell. The bellman switches to onboard gas. Then he reports to SUP. Topside. We are on onboard gas. Repeat the message till he fully understands it. Divers go off bailout and they go onto onboard gas. If the air is restored, then the bellman turns off his onboard gas and goes back onto topside gas, and then maybe you can continue the dive. Supervisor will decide. So loss of main gas, each diver on bailout, report back bailout pressure. The bellman closes topside gas, opens onboard gas, then both divers are breathing onboard gas, they close their bailout. Everyone understand that? Right. Loss of comms. So we lose comms to or from the bell. The supervisor notices, can't hear my divers anymore. I can't hear my divers. He doesn't know if the divers can hear him. So if the supervisor loses comms, he must continue talking, giving instructions to the divers. Maybe they can hear, maybe they can't. But as soon as the divers realize we have no comms, first thing, the bellman will call the diver who's out. 1, pull. Yes, what do you want? 1, 2, 3, 4. Come back to the bell. We have no comms. Bellman comes, the diver comes back to the bell. They wind up all umbilicals, and now there's no comms. We must abandon dive. So when all umbilicals are safe, gate is closed, then we want to give 4 signals to the surface. Normally, to the surface, 1, 2, 3, 4 pulls I want to come up. But the bell umbilical is that big and there's no one standing on it, so we can't give signals via that. So there's another way that we give signals. There's a pneumo in the bell. Short blow down pneumo. We can put the pneumo out of the bell and then we give 4 bubbles. Big bubbles. 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. 1 big bubble. Off. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another 4. Another 1 bubble. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 big bubble. The bubble you send up must be very different from any diver's bubbles. So the tenders will
continuous.
see.
Continuous bubbles.
No, 4 bubbles.
Yeah.
So, but each bubble is big. It mustn't be a little bubble, because when you're in the bell, then there's 2 divers in the bell, and the bell is filled up with air. There's 2 divers breathing there. There will always be some air coming out. 2 divers breathing can make strange bubbles. maybe they both breathe the same time, you think it's a big bubble. So in order to make a big bubble, you put 4 seconds, pneuma out, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then close, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the guys on deck can see, oh, that's breathing bubbles, here comes a signal bubble. So after receiving 4 signals, that's 4 pulls to come up, 4 bubbles, then the bell can come up.
4 seconds
If
for
bad weather or something like this and
For what?
ما فيش حد
Bad weather.
bad weather.
Then-
Nobody looking for
Then but the supervisor will tell, as soon as the supervisor loses comms, then he will tell deck crew, we've lost comms, look for bubbles. If we don't find bubbles, the bubbles don't come, then you would have to jump the standby diver to go and see what is happening. But, we can give the signal that we don't have to jump the standby diver. So, bellman to give 4 long bubbles, lost comms, topside to bells, okay. And now this is how the supervisor tells the divers, we have lost comms. Flashes the light 4 times. Either the headlight, the hat light, or the video light. If you have lights down there, flash 4 times. And this is just one good thing in diving. We used to use this a lot in scuba, not so much now that we have comms. But underwater, anything you repeat 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. You may hear someone banging with a spanner on a ladder. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Always on scuba, that means come up. Maybe I haven't got a wire on you, but we will make a sound signal. 1, 2, 3, 4 means come up. So what we used to use doing pipeline surveys on the inflatable boat with the outboard motor, you want to call the divers up. Vroom, 4 revs, 4 of anything. In those days was a signal come up. So you can use that. Next one, diver rescue. Diver is going to swim out of the bell, full length of umbilical. He will go to sleep. Now the bellman must go and do rescue. Now, an important thing in diving, safe length of umbilical. The umbilical, you can't just throw all umbilical out. The supervisor has to decide what is dangerous around the bell, and then we make the umbilical 5 meters short of any hazard. So if there's a big intake, we don't put all the umbilical out that the diver can get sucked into the intake. The umbilical must be 5 meters short of any danger, and then the umbilical must be tied off. So it can never go closer to the hazard than it is tied off. So the supervisor will decide safe length of umbilical. He will tell the bellman, where you are now, 40 meters away is a big intake. We are going to put out 35 meters umbilical and tie it so that diver can never get to where the intake is. So now the bellman has to go and do a rescue. So he knows how long is the diver's umbilical. He must put out same length of umbilical as the diver plus 2 meters and then tie it off. Because we don't want the rescue diver to go and try and rescue a diver and he gets sucked into an intake. So safe length of umbilical for diver, 5 meters short of any hazard, and then the standby diver's umbilical can be 2 meters longer, 3 meters short of any hazard. So before the bellman goes to any rescue, he must put out enough umbilical, but not too much. He must put out enough for him to reach the diver, but not enough to reach the hazard. Then the bellman gives 1 pull. The topside will say, bellman, my diver's not responding. He's not talking to me. Bellman, give him 1 pull. If he does not respond, then the bellman has to go and do the rescue. Throw umbilical out, diver's umbilical plus 2 meters, tie it off, and then the diver must go and recover. The bellman must recover the diver. Now, when he gets back to the basket, okay, I've changed that from But inside the bell, we'll talk about a bell, not a basket, there's a hoist. There's a hook up at the top with a little winch. So when we get our diver, he's unconscious. We get him to the bell, we can hook him on the little hoist and hoist him up and hang him. You don't want him sitting on the ground. So before the diver leaves the bell, he must make sure this hook for recovering diver, you must unhook it and bring the hook down to when you get back to the bell, you can hook onto the diver. You must prepare the recovery hoist before he leaves the bell. Throw out enough bellman umbilical plus 2 meters, and then the bellman follows the umbilical to the diver. Diver rescue. You've all done this. Well, we haven't done it a lot here, so I haven't tested you on this. How do we rescue the diver? This is important because each one of you is going to do this rescue in the chamber. So when the diver leaves the bell, the bellman leaves the bell, now he's got to report to the supervisor. The diver is not talking. Supervisor doesn't know what's happening. So the bellman has to tell the supervisor. So he says, I'm leaving the bell. I'm following the diver's umbilical. And the diver's umbilical is marked. He knows 30 meters to the diver. So every umbilical mark he gets to, he'll say, diver is 30 meters, umbilical looks good. 25 meters, umbilical looks good. No damage, no cut. All the way until he gets diver 5 meters. And you know that from the umbilical marks, even if there's bad viz, you know my diver is 5 meters. Then he will stop and say to the supervisor, is it safe? Well, the supervisor will say, okay, go and rescue the diver. The supervisor will know what the visibility is. As soon as you get out of the water, you're telling him, this is 2 meters, this is 3 meters. And he'll say, right, I'm getting close to the diver. When he gets close to the diver, then what you must be careful of depends on the job that the diver was doing. If the diver was doing an inspection, no welding, can be no explosions, not working with any equipment, not lifting anything. So, and he stops talking, and you think he didn't have an accident where he was hit by something or exploded. Most likely, it was just his air. He had bad